Hey guys, and welcome to the Spill It podcast. Spill It is live storytelling told in front of an audience. In today's episode, we will be giving you the winner and runner-up from our Spill It Slam event, In Tune, which was held on June 29th. Our winner was Julia Hamilton. Enjoy.
Hello. Okay, so I come from a really musical family, mostly on my mom's side. Any family reunion that I would go to on my mom's side was basically just a big jam session. Like, for example, last weekend I went to a wedding for my cousin. Are you filming me? Aporva, put the phone down. I went to a wedding last weekend for my cousin, and he had the ceremony. And then during this afterwards at the reception, he got on the drum set and played drums while his mom, my aunt, played keys and accordion. His dad, my uncle, played the bass. His brother, my cousin, played guitar. And then all four of them did vocals together. And the reception was just them and their friends playing music the whole time. And so that's basically what I grew up with, them and my other cousins playing music together. And so I kind of grew up with the idea that you can't have a celebration without there being music. For me, if there's not music, it's not a celebration. And for me, I was more of an appreciator of the music. I was never disciplined enough to learn an instrument, but I liked singing along and dancing, and that's kind of the way it was. And when I think about the celebrations and music and everything that my family did, I think my favorite one by far was when they used music to celebrate me. I had been abroad in France for 9 months. It was my longest I'd ever been away from home. I was studying abroad. I was in college, and I was flying home. And so they wanted to welcome me home. And I was landed in the little Memphis airport. I had 20 plus hours of travel stink on me. I was exhausted, and I knew my family was there, and I was just ready to kind of give them a hug and go home and pass out. So I'm going down, the corridor towards the baggage claim area, and you know how small the airport is? I think there was only the people from my flight that were there with me, kind of all going towards the same area. And I saw a little flutter of activity towards the baggage claim. I saw a glimpse of one of my brothers and thought, oh, great, my family's there. I'm happy to see them. And then I hear it. I hear a saxophone. And what I hear is, do 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 do, and I realized that my family is welcoming me home with music, and not only music, but George Michael's Careless Whisper. And so I'm walking down the corridor, and it's getting louder, and it's not just my brother Ben playing the saxophone. It is also my brother John with a conga drum he has strapped to his chest on a harness, and my cousin Redmond playing the accordion. And I have since re-listened to the recording of George Michael's Careless Whisper, and I can confirm there is no accordion in the original version, but apparently in the Hamilton/Polk cover band, there is in fact an accordion, and we played Careless Whisper with 3 vocals, a conga drum, a saxophone, and an accordion. So I reach my family. It's them plus other members of my family, and I'm going around hugging everyone. It's a lot of fun. Everyone from my plane is filing through around me, just kind of staring and walking by and not knowing what to do with us. And so I'm trying to hug the people playing their instruments, but their instruments are in the way. And I kept thinking they were going to stop playing, but they didn't. They decided they were going to play the entire song. And that's when I realized there are words to this song. I only knew the little sexy saxophone intro, but there's an entire song there, and they played it multiple times. So we went to get my bag. They were still playing. We were waiting by, the thing for the bags to start coming down. They were on their second round go around, I guess, is the only song they had learned. And so I was trying to talk to my parents about my trip and how I was. In the background, you've got, so you're never gonna dance again. And then I find my bag, I'm lugging my 50-pound bag off, and still behind me, everybody else has their instruments going, your guilty feet have got no rhythm, and people are just filing around. And I think finally, I should also mention, it didn't sound great. Basically, my brothers had thought of this idea maybe 2 days before I was flying home, and they thought it would be funny, and they had one practice session together the morning of my flight. And Ben hadn't played the saxophone since he was in like high school. I have no idea how long Redben had been learning the accordion, and I don't know where the conga drum came from. But by the time they got like their fourth go around, it sounded pretty good. And at that point, we were walking from the airport to the car in the parking garage, so the acoustics were great. And so we finally made it to the car with Careless Whisper for the final time, the last encore reverberating in the parking garage. And that was the end of the night. I went home and passed out and recovered from the jet lag and everything. And so, of course, when I think back on that night, I think of nothing but silly, happy, kind of embarrassed joy. But now I know a little bit more of the circumstances of that night. My grandma was there, and I'd given her a hug, and she had tears in her eyes, which I thought were just happy things to see me. But I found out later that her dog, who had been her companion for years after her two husbands had passed, had died the morning of my flight home. And so she was there to welcome me, but she didn't want to tell me that yet because she just wanted to be happy that I was there. And I also found out the next day that my mother had found out that week that a mass on her breast could potentially be cancerous. And she and Dad both knew that, but they hadn't told anyone in the family yet. So that was on their minds that Mom might have cancer, and they knew they had to tell us, but they didn't know yet how or when or what. So now when I think back on that night, I still feel incredible joy and all the silliness of what happened, but I know kind of what scary things were lurking behind all the people that were there to celebrate my return home. Thankfully, everything's fine now. Mom's cancer, it was cancer. It came and it went, thankfully. And my grandma has a new dog. She is a blind, crippled dog named Cassie, and Mammy loves her. And I have since gone to France again. I've gotten to return again, and that was excellent. And I will be lucky to go abroad again, and I will come home again. And of course, I'll never get a reception quite like that ever again, and that's okay. It can stay the way it was. It was perfect the way it was, because I know that my whole family was there to welcome me, even with all the dark clouds over their head. They were there to celebrate me with their music, with open arms, warm hearts, and probably the sexiest song that's ever been written.